Welcome to the ChangeMakers podcast, brought to you by City Current and powered by Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance. This show shares personal stories and insight from those who are giving back and making a difference, so we can learn and do the same. We cover life lessons, business advice, passion, and purpose. Now here's our host, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the ChangeMakers podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We have a wonderful treat, a beautiful treat, one that sounds amazing when you hear her sing. She does our invocation and does an amazing...
I'm so laughing right now. I ain't got no makeup on. Tell us a beautiful treat. Oh, help us all.
See, you've already heard her. Ephie Johnson.
I couldn't hold it anymore. I was like, who is he talking about?
She's the president and CEO of Neighborhood Christian Centers. She is one of our favorites here in the Mid-South, doing amazing work. You can learn all about Neighborhood Christian Centers. We'll touch on that, but here's a fun chance to get to know Ephie personally, and see already you're getting to know her personally. So, so let's start out. Ephie, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well right now. I do have my moments, but doing great, doing good.
So let's talk about, because you grew up in a very large family.
I did. Yeah.
So give us a little bit of just your upbringing in terms of, you know, your family and growing up. I think it was right here in the Mid-South, correct?
That's right. Not too far from where we're taping today. So I grew up as one of 75 children. But to
Wait,
make
can you say that again?
One of 75.
I'm about to say, because when we say large family, I don't think people usually think, oh, like 5 kids. No.
But my mom and dad actually had 4 children, but my parents raised 75 children in our home. Actually, I should be one of 81, I guess. But anyway, but way before that, my mom and dad, their lives began in obscurity and poverty, and especially my father. He was raised third eldest of 8 children in the country, in the rural community outside of Jackson, Mississippi, and Madison, Mississippi, and he couldn't read until he was in the 6th grade. And so, along with his siblings, my grandfather decided that he wanted to ensure that they had a better life. Their academic upbringing and career he had greater expectations, shall I say, for them, and sent them away to Piney Woods Country Life School, where all of them went there. My father couldn't read until he was in the 6th grade, and so eventually he caught on and could read and graduated from there, got his his associate's degree there. That school at the time, African American kids didn't have a lot of options, so this little boarding school that was really rugged and it was like cabins, it was agriculturally driven, that's where they lived and grew up, and he made it through, along with all 7 of his other siblings, and all of them achieved their associate's degree and then went on to get their master's degrees and some doctorates. So out of all 8 of them, all 8 of them graduated from college with masters and doctorates. And so I'm quite inspired by their lives, because, that was a tough time. My mother was the 3rd child born to the original children that were born into her family. There was another 8 after her, but she was given away at 6 weeks of age with those 2 elder children, and they were the first 3 born to my biological grandmother. And when she gave them away, to distant relatives that had already raised 45 kids. I mean, there's a lot of children being raised around us. But those 45 kids, were just community children or folks that were in the family that parents couldn't help them. And so my mom was a part of that upbringing. They lived in the country, Lucedale, Mississippi, and she matriculated through school, and all the different experiences that she had there were not always great, but she's a survivor. She's a powerful woman and a strong woman. And she graduated eventually from high school there and moved away to West Virginia, where she went to a Bible college there, was one of the first women to go to that Bible college and graduate.
Nice.
And then was assigned to Memphis, Tennessee. So that's how our family's origin came to be Memphis. And so when she came to Memphis, she was assigned to a little church and was asked to help start a Sunday school there, and eventually they would build it up and send a pastor and all these things. And as she started trying to do that and was having trouble building the church and drawing kids to the church, and she eventually began to realize that people weren't sending their kids because they didn't have proper clothing or they weren't eating or whatever it was, and they weren't going to send their kids out like that. And this was in 1962, 61, 62, 63. And so she began to take some of her little stipend, and I think she said she got $80, $90 a month, and she would take a few dollars and go to Goodwill and buy some items, and then she would come back and help pass that clothing out in the community or whatever. And after a while, she began to see people coming to church. Well, one thing after another happened, and she began to invest more and more in that life on life side of, okay, you're here now, what's going on? And because of where she came from, she was able to identify and connect with those that needed that type of help.
And this is before she had met her husband? This is before
she met my dad. So the way that worked was these two women were, I think, at a hospital, like some type of elective surgery or something was going on, and you shared rooms at this time, I guess. And they were talking about, one was talking about my dad and one was talking about my mom, which were not my parents at the time. And they said, hey, I know a young man that JoeAnn could meet, and that kind of thing. And so the story goes that my mom says the lady that went to the church my father went to said, okay, JoeAnn, when you come to the church, sit to the left side of me, and he gonna know that's you. And then after church, y'all gonna talk, and that kind of thing. It was like dating, whatever, before website stuff or whatever, internet.
There was like a whole devised plan here.
It was a whole plan.
And obviously it worked out.
It worked out. They met each other. There was a lot of stuff in between all that. But anyway, they met, eventually married, and that's where the ministry that I know as a child began. And so my father taught school in the school system for 31 years. He was very committed to the Douglas community and the Kingsbury community. And my mother taught for a little while in the Douglas community. And so they began to have a liking toward that community and the children there. They actually lived there for a while. And then they moved away, and my father continued to teach there, and my mom was doing other things, and there was a second generation of kids that he began to teach, and the first generation there was a lot of things happening. The dynamics of our communities were changing. There was a lot more poverty. People were not able to get jobs. People were moving out. Companies were moving away. So people started asking my dad, would you bring my kid home and kind of keep him with you for the weekend? And after a while, it started more and more. They would say, and they wouldn't use the word mentor, but that would be what they were doing. My mom and dad would be mentors to these kids. And then after a while, they would start keeping them. And so over a period of time, they raised over 75 children at my time of being there up till I got married. And my father took this little 2-bedroom house that we grew up in off of Barber Drive and turned it into a 9-bedroom home with 5 restrooms. Really, you had one full bathroom and 3 restrooms, and then a bathtub room.
Wow.
So it was just a bathtub in a room. We need all the other stuff.
Room.
We just need to go to the bathtub, take a bath. You come back and brush your teeth somewhere else. So
that's highly efficient. Well, but I think on both sides. So one, I mean, just understanding your family, like your parents' upbringing, and I think with both of them, their personal stories, it makes total sense now on just the importance of taking care of these kids, right? Because they lived it. I mean, they understood your mom being kind of given up at an early age, and then your dad, same thing, having to go through to earn his education and fight for his education and fight for everything. I think it creates that sense of urgency, but also you understand why they are who they are. And then on your end, you've talked about it before, just what it's like to be raised and to grow up with that many children, where you're having to learn a lot of life lessons at a very early age on just sharing. Sharing.
And our home was a little different because my dad was very structured, and so I come from that vein. And so even this day, I know this is a little bit more introspective about me. I have been, at 49 years old, I have been working through who I am, my self-worth, beyond the confidence that you may see. And it's nothing against my upbringing or all that, but you tend to, with my personality, firstborn, I was the firstborn regardless of all the people there, I was the firstborn. And so my personality has lent itself toward pleasing people. It's lent itself toward whatever I need to do to make sure everyone's okay. You do that. And then you get frustrated sometimes. So like in the middle of that, my mom and dad wrote a book about that, and they had decided not to keep young folks at a period of time when I was turning 13, 14 years old, and then a little later on they began to fold them back in. And that was because my parents recognized that as children, you need to know that those are your parents and that they have they're invested in you. So they did that. My personality was so that I just kind of held on to things longer than most, so I was like, this is our house, and
right.
Why we can't get another car, everybody around, all the teachers have new cars and we have the same old car. And my parents were sold out that this is not about luxury, this is not about you. Our family has been called to serve the community. And over time, I just have been sold out to that, sometimes to a fault, to where I have ignored or not considered myself. And so it's been a walk for me. And when you told me at the beginning of this podcast that this is going to be a little more introspective, I was like, oh my gosh, because I've been going through thinking about who I am in the midst of what I do, and not trying to equate, make them both the same. Although that is what I live for, to serve people, to help people, but sometimes so passionately, that I get lost in
I want listeners to understand, though, so there's a lot to unpack in that, and obviously, that would be a full day's worth of a podcast.
Yes. So should I lay on the couch?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is like
pull out the chart.
Deep thoughts, a little bit of therapy. But I mean, as a child, think about this though. For one, being public servants with your parents, you don't make a lot of money.
No.
So as a child, you don't understand that really, and you look at your friends and they have nice things, and to your point, they have cars and all these things that you don't understand. Like, why can't we have that? And yet you look around and you think, wait a second, we're taking care of all these other people, which is the right thing to do. But ultimately, as a child, you don't understand that. You're like, wait a second, why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? Why can't we have this? It's because we're sharing all of our love and all of our money with all of these other people that biologically aren't ours. And so I think as a child, that's a really tough thing to learn as a lesson. But also as an adult now, to your point, it's really shaped who you are and your compassion. And I mean, people, you can't see it right now, but you're in tears as you're telling these stories. And it's because
those that know me are not shocked that I'm in tears.
But I mean, you exude this love and compassion for others. And I think that's one of those things that going through those experiences, you create those relationships and the understanding that ultimately as you get older, it's kind of like, you never understand your father's advice until you get older. And it's like, that's my dad's voice in my head. But it is one of those now where I think it really has paved the way for what you do and who you are.
It is my purpose in life. It is a part of my purpose. There are other things that I do that I've had to learn or beyond that still connect with my purpose, specifically in my benevolent, philanthropic, service side of who I am. But to my parents' credit, they were always aware of us. They made sure that we were included, we were important. My father would take us on trips, each one of us by ourselves. We all had our own trip, at least twice in my life. I remember that specifically.
Give us one of those trips. What was one of those trips?
Well, we went to the World's Fair in in Knoxville, Tennessee. I think it is. And that was so special to me. And he said, "This is your trip." And I'm a few years older than my siblings, and so he and I spent time together. We walked around the World's Fair. We got to see the big, tall, whatever that thing is. I can't remember anymore. This was amazing, experience with him. And now that he's gone on, I just value how intentional he was about loving everyone, but demonstrating a special love toward his children that we remember. That he reminded us of who we were, and he would always say that, remember who you are. stay focused, be bold and confident. And some of those things he would say, I was like, I don't know what that means or why it's important. But he knew that, and my mother knew that I would live past those moments, sometimes of selfishness, because my life was made more richer because I shared my life with all of these beautiful siblings that I can count as siblings today. I call siblings today. And so my life is richer now because of that. I think the process of any of us that are working through sharing our life and being life on life with people, especially from early ages, how do you still know who you are in the midst of being who you need to be toward other people? Right. And so my father was insistent on education. So we all went to college and we all worked, and and I have my own businesses as aside from what I do every day. But it took time for me to develop some of that because you're just so committed to the cause itself. And so even what I do every day with my other services, my singing or whatever I do, it's to encourage other people, it's to affirm other people, it's to build people up. And sometimes in life, you can see all that, and I'll say this, I'm on television, people see me all the time, and who I am to the world sometimes is not exactly who I am, every single day when you might see me. I'm sad sometimes, or I've had a moment where I've been passionate, or I've been, I might lash out. We have all those moments. I'm married, I have a husband, and I love my husband, but we have moments, we fuss sometimes, and I got children. I'm like, you know what? You got one more time. I got all that. I got a son getting ready to go to college this fall. I got another one still in MUS. I mean, we got bills, and so all that happens in my life. Yet, you're kind of expected to be on. Right. You're on all the time. And so I've had to kind of dial it down and kind of connect with myself, reflect on who I am, and use some emotional intelligence and say, okay, who was I at this age? Who am I now? What is my purpose? What am I? Usually, whatever you're challenged with most of your life is pretty much what your purpose is going to be. It's like when I get called to come on the radio show with, Jeremy Parks, is when I have a moment in the morning that, I choose not to share with everybody about what I probably had to go through with somebody or whatever, So it's that kind of thing that, but are you pushing through? Are you willing to endure to the end of your purpose, till it's all over and said and done? And one of the songs that I'm not going to sing, but I'm just saying, is one, my mom was like, why you always sing this song wherever you go? And I was like, because it's the truth. It's may the work I've done speak for me. When I'm resting in my grave, then there's nothing that can be said. May the work I've done speak for me. And then it continues to say, the work I've done, it seems so small. It seems like nothing at all. But when I stand before my God and I want to hear him say, well done, may the work I've done speak for me. So I think about that probably every day in some form or fashion. And I want to, whatever I'm doing, whatever mistakes I make, whatever hiccups that come along the way, I try to continue to focus it toward what matters, is that I have a purpose to figure out how to help as many people as I can, encourage as many people as I can, spread the word that things are, that there's a good, that you can have a good life, that things can be better. You might not have made the best choices, but you can start over again. If you're breathing, you get a new chance. I depend on that myself, because I get a new chance every day to try to help somebody and try to get myself some help. Read some books and read some Bible or whatever I can do to help me be a better person and be more confident and realize my self-worth, which is once again the thing that I'm really working through in this, I would say, third quarter of my life. I was like,
see, all of this is exactly why we love you. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Got like 2 quarters left, Lord.
Hey, well, so one of the other things that I think that's really unique with your story is the fact that it's not inherited, but you've stepped into the family business.
Yes.
And I think that presents a whole new set of challenges in terms of of stepping into those shoes and doing it your parents' way. But it also is a whole new set of opportunities because you get to do it your way. And talk about that dynamic. And obviously the organization is Neighborhood Christian Centers.
Yeah.
And give us a little of the mission so people have context who aren't here in the Mid-South, so they understand what you do.
Yeah.
But talk about that of stepping into your parents' shoes, but ultimately creating this whole new legacy under your own name, Ephie.
Yeah, so the mission, as you heard it, in the origin was from our home to something more formal. And as the Neighborhood Christian Centers began to be formalized in 1978, we were probably more of a community responder to whatever was going on, and then with people in need, and then especially tutorial programs and things like that. So that's what we did a lot of, and very children focused. As it moved on to this current state, we are serving people, over 50,000 people a year in 5 unique areas. For us, it's early childhood programs that work through helping parents be their child's first teacher, or caregivers being the child's first teacher, through to our adult services and youth services that are empowerment driven. One or two are built around social enterprises. You might have heard of some of our work in Orange Mound and our Women's Resource Center, and then their accompanying program, My Cup of Tea, that many of the supporters probably even have seen around town and supported. And then we have our legacy program that focuses on men. Specifically, we draw a lot more African American men to that program, and it's built around basketball and fellowship. And then moving that into Life on Life and encouraging them to be good dads, to pay your child support, whatever it is that's going on, pay your tickets. How can we get your record expunged? If those are issues you're dealing with, or just being around other guys that can be a positive influence on them that maybe are doing it well, that haven't gotten in trouble, and blending those two together to show what it can look like and how you can be the best you can be. And then the base of what we do at the organization overall is compassionate services. So our food and clothing and furniture and appliances and all those different things that we distribute every day. We're partners with places like Electrolux, MLG&W, a few other local partners that we distribute. We distribute large quantities of items like air conditioning or certain types of food. We did that for AARP this summer, where we are distributing 100,000 plus meals to senior citizens, veterans, and those that are in crisis. We'll do that through now through Christmas. So those are the type of things that we do every day. And I try to encourage people to know that we are not all things to all people. We cannot do it all. We're not trying to do it all. At one time, we did do a lot more of the all than we do now. So we reduced our focus to crisis intervention, emergency relief, and then moving people toward stability, and then moving them out toward sustainability, maybe with partners in the community or whatever. Mm-hmm. But our goal is to just help people get stabilized so that they can move out to be sustaining. So that's who we are overall. We have 6 sites in the city right now. We're working on another site in the near future. 3 of those sites are in Section 8 housing developments, where we have staff there serving Life on Life missional services, including what we talked about earlier. And then we have our anchor locations, our headquarters that's on Jackson and near Uptown Community, North Memphis. And then we have our one in Binghamton that is our distribution center, administrative offices, and some service programs are there as well. So we're around the city doing what we can to help people, and I work alongside a wonderful group of people that have a heart for people, have a heart for the city, and also are gifted to stick it out, and because sometimes people and their problems are.
Well, I was gonna say, what you do is hard work.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's tough.
It's mentally hard work, spiritually hard work, physically hard work. And I think in many cases, and we've talked about this before, and we've covered it before even on the podcast, is that when you talk about working with people, especially with generational poverty, there's not a quick fix.
No.
It's not like you can sit there and say, hey, here's, whatever it is, and that's going to be your silver ticket or your gold ticket, and, next thing you know, they're successful. It's like it doesn't work that way.
No.
You need to step in, and very much like your family, it's not just food and clothing and, a bath.
Right.
It's everyday mentoring and
everyday
tutoring and loving, your neighbors. And I think we're talking about stuff that's going to take, decades,
yes.
generations to be able to really, truly see that needle turn.
Yeah.
And I think so that gets back to your main point before is that what you're doing is extremely rewarding. It's monumentally important. It has to be done because these are, even though I say it all the time, even though they're not biologically ours, they're all of our children.
That's right.
They're our children. And so what you're doing is so important, but yet, mentally, like you said, it can be very taxing as well. So it's finding that balance and driving that purpose.
How do you do that? It's 40 years in 2018 that we will have done this as formally as we do it now. Those 40 years have seen many challenges and many triumphs from people that say thank you to those that take it and run. From our staff, going through a lot of transition and change. And when you're doing this kind of work, it's tough. And, I know there are others that have been on this podcast that do the kind of work that we do. And I'm associated and friends with those guys and ladies. And I say, my heart is just goes out to thinking about them all the time and praying for them. And we need everybody.
This is an all hands on deck, everybody working together, right?
Everywhere on deck. Help us help everybody that we can. I tell people all the time, I don't have anything way of quantifying how we maintain peace in the city, other than I could say places like us. There's streets, there's Agape, there's Ma'am, there's everybody. I mean, I'm just saying all the ones that I'm kind of around a lot, but if these places are not around to do the work they're doing, then you can create even more angst and anxiety. And when we're in those states of mind, just like any of us, we get frustrated and we act out. It doesn't justify. But we have to have places like neighborhood Christian centers where we can work on a moral compass, where we can say, hey, this is a better way of resolving conflict. This is an opportunity for you to stay off the street and do this or that. Hey, I love you. Well, you want to act like you cared about me this morning. Hey, I was having a moment, but I love you. I'm still here. Kids still come back to this day from programs we've done for years, and they ask, where's Miss Ballard, my mom? And she's not directly in our facilities anymore, but she's not far. And they can see her drive up, and we're still here. 40 years, we're still here. And I think that's what people sometimes don't get to have anymore, is the continuity and that familiar face. Lipscomb Pitts is still here. Mm-hmm. Every time I've driven by Union Extended, y'all still here. That's important to the stability of our community, that these landmarks, that the old landmarks stay here. And no matter what God does with my life, I want people to see that I'm still here for them. And that this place is here for them. That we're not just in and out. If it's not just a job to me, it's a lifestyle. It's a calling. And the people that I work with every day, if I went down the list of those wonderful people that work there every day, I could say they walk up and down those halls and they stay past their time because it's a calling. And right. I'm not an island. I'm not here by myself doing this. I'm just doing the part I'm supposed to do to help cheerlead and help coach that process along. But all of those people at neighborhood Christian centers, I am so grateful for. I'm so thankful for, because they are there for the people, whatever it takes to make it happen.
I think that's an extremely important lesson when you talk about working with people in general, but the stability of the leadership, because many times you kind of, Bill Courtney has the famous turkey person phrase, but it's like you show up at Thanksgiving, you give them the turkey, and you never see them again.
Right.
And And it's like, it's that kind of simple idea that, we're just going to come in, we're going to solve the world's problems, and we're going to move on to the next thing. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. To your point, what's so important is the fact that you're there every single day. You've been there for 40 years. You will continue to be there. You're driving that purpose every single day, and you're committed, and it's stable. So I think that in and of itself is an extremely important lesson when you talk about working with people, and especially working to fight poverty.
Yes.
Give us, and I do want to go back to just stepping into your parents' shoes, but give us one other thing that when you look at the work you're doing, because we do have listeners in other cities all throughout the U.S. that are facing these very same issues.
Yeah.
What's something else that you've learned? Obviously the importance of stability, of leadership, of having the right team, of the compassion, the caring for people, putting that first. Yeah. The fact that this is a long-term battle. This isn't a short-term battle.
Right.
What's maybe one other thing that you've learned throughout that I think other cities, other organizations can glean from your experience and just working to try to fight poverty and create sustainability and empower people?
Well, as a leader, I've had to learn that I am not doing it. That I foster it, I help to facilitate through myself and the team that I work with to demonstrate and help people move them along to finding their way. But as a leader, I've had to resolve that it's not me doing it, and we have to put some responsibility on the person that they have to do the work. I can help facilitate the work, and also that as a leader, I've had to do some work. I've had to do some work with my own self. I had to go and sit down with someone and help me understand me better. And I think that sometimes when you jump into jobs, whether you're legacy leadership like me, or whether you're legacy leadership like me, or you have applied for a position and now you're in leadership, we will run into situations that will trigger our own stuff. And you gotta be okay with knowing that that's gonna happen, and that you can't let it distract or undermine you from what you're called to do or that you signed on to do. There are many days we kind of joke around about it at work sometimes, but some days we're like, I quit. I'm just through. I am finished. And so one of the girls, that happens pretty often, and she's been there forever, and someone will say, you quit today? She's like, I'm good right now, but you never know, and then all of us like, we'll see you in the morning, kind of thing. And so, if you can, I want an atmosphere, and I hope that we continue to foster that, where people can say that, because you need to be able to, vent. You need to be able to get things out.
You have to have humor and fun.
You got to have humor and fun. And sometimes you got to go sit down with, like I did with Brent Stenberg at Christian Psychological Center, and say, help me, my brother, because I need to make sure I understand what I'm going through. And when I began to lead the organization in this capacity, it was 9 years ago. My father had literally just passed away 6 months prior. My mother had already enacted our succession plan 6 years prior to that, and I was in a 14-year succession process that I thought would take about 18 months, and then I realized why it didn't take 18 months, and so 9 years into being president and CEO, I would probably say I am just figuring out parts of what that means, and doing this thing for over 25, 27 years, just figuring out, okay, I don't need to be anxious about that. Okay, I could be quiet about this. Okay, I don't need to go chase down that. Okay, I just need to be still and know that God is God and I'm not, that kind of thing. And so as a leader, I've had to gather and slow it down and just trust that the work is going to take care of itself. If I do my part, it's going to be all right. So that's the kind of things that I've gone through. And one of the things that it was kind of symbolic, but it was tangible, was that in our organization, our main office, when we built that facility from the ground up, my mom's name was on the door. And it said, Neighborhood Christian Centers, Dr. JoeAnn Ballard. And at that time, we were executive director, and then we transitioned to this hierarchical format. And so that stayed on the door, even after I was president, for probably a year and a half. And I literally sat down with Brent. I keep saying his name, but that's an awesome man. Y'all need to go, if y'all need some help, go to Brent Stenberg. He's awesome. But I went and sat with him, and we had a conversation about that. And I said, I don't know how to take her name off and put my name on. And that was important because I had to. It was not just honoring her because she was going to be honored because she's done the work, and you don't have to put anything on a window to prove that. But there was something about changing guard, and there was something about me feeling like that I was worth it. Not that I'm perfect, not that I deserve anything, per se, but this was my time to begin to this part of the journey. And it's been a journey. And I've had to learn how to intellectually review the process and realize that, gosh, I know what I do know, and the stuff I don't know, it's okay.
Yeah.
And as I gather, that intelligence, I'm learning now, okay, this is who we truly are. This is who we authentically are. And that part has got to remain legacy-wise. And then there's things that, because of the times are changing and people are changing. We're in a technology world. We got to have a social media guy on staff, that kind of thing. So those are things that we never had to do years before. And there's a lot of other things too. But what hasn't changed is how people need to be touched,
right.
How they need to be helped, and how they need to feel loved and need to be spoken to by their name. That we might have to assign a number to you, but you're not a number. We might have to ask you to wait in a line, but we're going to make sure you have a chair to sit in the cool or the warmth, and we're going to give you some popcorn or something, whatever we can do to kind of make sure you feel okay when there's a long line. If you're waiting for short periods of time, we don't want you waiting for an hour to be seen. When you get in, you're going to be addressed, and then we're going to try to get it done in 10 minutes. You're going to kind of know every 10 minutes or so where we are with this. And that's, I tell people all the time, that's the Starbucks way. I want to apply ministry, that Starbucks make you feel good. Chick-fil-A, like, what is your name? So when your order is ready, we're going to call you by your name. And I thought about that. I was like, wait a minute. If I go and feel good at the Starbucks or at, Chick-fil-A or there's other places now that are doing that. McDonald's even, I think, asks you your name now. And so I was like, at a place where we're supposed to serve and help people, they got to know that we hear them and that we are a voice for those that are voiceless, but they have a name. And so I probably did not answer the question properly, but that's it's kind of easy, it kind of segues.
Yeah, but I think it paints the picture. But I think, just growing up and you see your parents, almost heroically raise 45 children. Yeah, those are big 75. Shoes. Or 75. Yeah, sorry, 75. I was thinking 45 the other ones. But 75 children. And then, building this nonprofit from the ground up, those coming in, like you said, you don't want to take your mom off the door. Those are huge shoes to fill, but yet at the same time, you grew up around it. This becomes your world. Yes. I like the term legacy leadership, but you have an opportunity in a whole new era in things like the social media to step in and really create your own destiny, but ultimately be a voice for the voiceless, but to be a huge lift for our city. And so I still go back to, big shoes to fill, and I think that's where it's important to understand your backstory, but also, too, huge passion and purpose for what you're doing that is all driven by that storyline. And so you're doing absolutely amazing things. So carry that a little bit forward in the sense that give me something that you are really happy when you look at your stamp on Neighborhood Christian Centers. What's something that puts a smile on your face that says this is something that we've been able to do together under your leadership?
I think together under my leadership, we have been able to expand. We've had some creative additions to what we do with our social enterprise relationships, partners. With those partners, we've been able to become the best at what we do in distributing to people in the community. I'm proud that we have some of the best leaders in the city, connecting with those that need help. I think that under my leadership too, we've been able to, we're still working on this, reducing our focus. It is big shoes to fill, but I tell people all the time, when you're starting something from the place that we did, my parents did, there was no agenda. they weren't necessarily doing it to try to create a nonprofit. They were doing it. For me, I had to think about it, and you're almost recreating something without losing the foundational pieces, And so I think that I've done a pretty good job with that. It's kind of like when you have a baby, you're like, they still alive, So I think I've done pretty good with that too. We still alive, and we still helping people.
But I love the fact that this is something that you would do whether you were paid for it or not. There's some that get into the nonprofits and it's a career, and you see them kind of bounce around, and there's nothing wrong with that in terms of trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things that you would be doing this work, whether you were paid for it or not. I think that's where I think, on my end, your heart always goes out to those that they're good people doing good things, regardless of if there's a paycheck attached or not.
I own a gourmet popcorn shop, and I was going to say this for a reason, because you said I could talk about my personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I started that popcorn shop 3 years ago, I was like, what in the world am I doing? Why am I doing this? And part of it was because I wanted my children to see something built from the ground up, because all they have ever seen is neighborhood Christian centers in its state. And so in the child's mind, this is where it's going to be. This has always been. It's easy, But that's not necessarily the case. And so they saw the work it took to build our little company, Paparou's Gourmet Popcorn Shop, the best popcorn in the business.
But I say you have to do the promo. Come on now.
And we're also now selling at the Curb Market in the Crosstown. So check us out. We're there today and every day. And we have a little shop on 726 North Parkway. Come in and buy some popcorn. But not today because we're closed at curbside. All right. Nice. Concourse is awesome, by the way. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, so what was I talking about? Okay, so reason why I did the popcorn shop. When I started working in it myself, because at the time I didn't have any employees, I'd work on Saturdays, trying to build it up. People would come in, and I would begin to see that I was not just selling people popcorn. I was asking questions, and we were talking about stuff, and I was encouraging them. They were encouraging me. I found out new things about our city and got folks plugged into things. And so you're right. No matter what you do in life, if you're mopping the floor or selling popcorn or singing in the opera, whatever you're doing, whatever your calling is, to bring people to an encouragement, encouraging them, or to affirm them, or to help them to have a better life for themselves, and using your testimony to help them to know you can make it, or I've been through it too. It's you're not the only one. You can use that, and that's your platform. If that's what it is, you can do it. And then popping popcorn is one of those lethargic things where you can just watch them pop one after the other and think about a lot of things. So I put together a lot of plans popping popcorn on Saturday mornings. But anyway, so that's when you talk about just introspectively and who we are and how we become who we are and why we do what we do. I want my children, to not be solely and totally embarrassed by me when I'm gone. That they can refer back and say, yeah, it was my mom. She was crazy, but she loved people,
I think that's the perfect segue into our lightning round.
My epitaph.
Yeah.
She was crazy, but she loved people. There you go. There you go. That's it.
Simple. I love it.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So we're going to do our lightning round, and this is where I just ask you just whatever pops up into my head, and it's whatever pops up into your head. So that's very scary. Short answers, quick answers. Okay. It just gives us more of a glimpse into your world. So what's a recent movie you've watched or TV show?
Oh, shoot. I don't want to say.
Or it could be your favorite one.
Okay, well, I just saw what's the new movie that just came out? Oh my God.
See, this is where I go into, like, with the kids. Cars. You've got Cars 3. You've got The Mummy.
Cars.
You've got
Mummy. I just saw The Mummy. My kids didn't want to go see it with me and my husband, so we saw The Mummy. Never said.
Were you scared?
I was not scared. I love Tom Cruise, and it was pretty cool. It was kind of exciting.
Was your favorite part when they were in the plane and going down, flying around?
That was something else. And then I thought it was beautiful because he gave her the parachute.
Yeah.
And then she realized that, this man was selfless. He so I thought it was real beautiful. Scary in some ways, yeah, but beautiful. I was like, I don't know if I would have done that.
Yeah, and it leaves you hanging at the end. There's more to come.
Yes, there's more to come.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, Okay. Favorite vacation spot?
Oh gosh, I love being on the beach, and so we love to go to Florida a lot because my husband's from Jacksonville, and so there's a little place they have on in Ferdinand Beach, and so we love to hang out there. So that's one of our favorite spots.
Give us a couple of your favorite restaurants here in town. Or where do you like to take people?
Bon Thai is one of my favorites. When they ain't open, I go to Mosa and Bangkok Alley. So I love Thai food. And then Cheesecake Factory, because I love me some cheesecake. All the stuff I should be eating. It's got creamy stuff in it, and I want to eat that. So I like that. And there's many other places I could name, but those are two of my three. Well, those three plus the cheesecake places.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Give us. Give
cherry
us some...
snow cones. I'm so sorry. We love that place. Okay, great.
Yeah. No. Hey, that's
See,
good.
it's got ice cream in it. That's why I like it.
A common theme. Give us some of your favorite songs. We know you love to sing. You're a beautiful singer, but give us what's in your playlist right now. A couple of songs.
First of all, if you knew me well enough, you know I don't have a playlist because I'm very technologically not so on it. But I do love right now Tamala Mann's God Provides is the song that I have on my YouTube that I listen to through the internet. But that's one of my favorites. And then another song is CeCe Winans' He's Concerned About You is a song. And now that's the gospel. On the secular side, child, Bruno Mars, a 24 karat magic in the air. I'm sorry, Saints. I'm just saying I like that song, man. It's awesome.
What do you like to do to relax?
Massages. That's my thing. If I can once a week, honey, I go to a $39 massage. And I get me a massage over there off of Germantown Parkway. Or there's one over there off of Union. I can tell you where all of them are.
Do they all know you by name?
They know me well enough.
Can I go ahead and say what the Ephie special?
Yes, you can. The one on Germantown Parkway, you can. They see me coming, they're like, I already know. A little pressure on my life, so I need a massage. But I love it. I get to listen to the Bible or my music, and I punch something on, and they work without those pressure points, and it's a good thing.
Where do you like to take people who are coming to Memphis or the Mid-South, either for the first time or just visitors? Where do you like to take visitors?
Okay, you're going to laugh. My husband's like, girl, you're something else. But when my mother-in-law she first came to Memphis, and just anyway, I like to take to Elvis Presley's mansion because I'm all about Elvis. And then love to... take them to the Neighborhood Christian Center because I want them to see what we have.
Right. This is what we do.
Just in case y'all got about $5 more y'all can give away, give it to the Neighborhood Christian Center. This is the address right here. And so that's another place that I love. I love downtown. When we had the trolleys, of course, we do that up and down Main Street. Love that. And then my church, Hope Presbyterian Church, where the pastor's Rufus Smith, amen, preaching the gospel every Sunday morning, amen, and Saturday evening. So I love to take them over to Hope, and so those are places that I really love. And there's Civil Rights Museum. Oh my gosh, we do that. I'm sure there are more places that Bill Street. So that's like my five places that I go. Maybe 6. That's all. Okay, it's 5 or 6 places. Those are the places. This lightning thing messed me up.
Do you like to watch any sports? Memphis Grizzlies, Redbirds. Are you a sports fan at all?
No. But
answer.
I appreciate everyone and their sports abilities. And when we get down to the last game of any type of competition, I'm there. And my husband gets me up to date, or I watch the highlight reels if it's on television, and then I get excited about it. Like, there's this fight coming up where these 2 guys are fighting. One is from boxing and one is from kickboxing, and one is Meriwether. What's his name?
It could be Meriwether, yeah, but
and he's fighting. He's kickboxing.
I'm only good for usually football,
and
basketball, tennis.
He's boxing this guy that's a kickboxer, and he's the Anyway, I'd like to see that. That's interesting. Yeah, but overall, no. My poor son, he played football at MUS for the past couple of years. I told him, let me tell you something about your mama, baby. When them grasshoppers start flying around, it's gonna be in the car. If it get cold, Ephie gonna be in the car. You can know your mama is here. She is here. She is for you, but she gonna be in the car.
Watching with binoculars.
Baby, have you seen, if you on grass, those big old grasshoppers, they do not have any sense of direction, and it always is toward me and my weave. I'm just saying, okay? Don't get in my hair.
That's hilarious. I love it.
I can't take it.
Nice. What about a book you've recently read?
First of all, it's probably the Bible, because I tell people I read so much. Reading books for luxury is not my thing, because I have to read all the time for other things. But there is a book that I have in my audio collection right now that's going to be that's about boundaries. It's called Boundaries. Before that, I read The Art of Why. I think I want to say this. I might be saying it wrong, but it's about why. But now I have the next book I'm reading is about boundaries, and it's something I need to really work on. And so that's the book that's in my queue.
What's something that you and your husband enjoy doing together? So, kind of it can be a tradition, it can be a special moment, it can be something that you do, as an anniversary. What's something special that you and your husband do?
Now, honestly, he loves massages too, so we both go get massages
that makes it easy.
Together. We have a lot of fun with that. And we love to hang out at Shelby Farms when we can, and we love to go to the Y with our boys. I know you said together, but we do this after church. Most of the time, after church on Sundays, we go to the Y, and then we ride our bikes. And let me explain riding our bikes. They ride their bikes very well around Shelby Farms. The entire circumference of the park, they pretty much do. I get in about a mile and I'm out. And I mean around the track 3 times, not the whole thing.
Right.
So we start off
But then
together.
yours is more relaxing. You get to sit there on those beautiful benches and overlook the lake.
And watch my husband shake his head at me when he passes by. Like, you are so pitiful. I'm like, look, you better be glad I'm out here. But we do that together. But we love hanging out and we walk together a lot. So that's fun at Shelby Farm. So we love that.
So what's either a favorite saying, favorite bit of advice? Ooh. What's something that, and it could come from your parents, it could be something that just is a kind of a moral compass, but what's a favorite saying or bit of advice?
Well, my father used to tell me all the time, don't let the devil fool you. And I've never forgotten that. And then one of our family sayings that came from his side of the family was, do right, go straight. And that stuck with us, my children with me, my cousins, all of us, we know that saying. And do right, go straight. It's subjective, but you know what it means. And so, make the right choices, choose to go straight, don't veer off, don't do those things that are the crooked path, work to have integrity. And that's one thing that I really push to do. If I make a mistake, own up to it, so that's do right, go straight. And the bit of wisdom I'd offer is that if you do make a mistake, be transparent, be open as best you can, and be willing to just go ahead and do the hard work and work to be the best person you can be, because you only get to be you and nobody else. And I'm trying to be the best me I can be this year. I want to improve on that the years before, and I'm grateful that I get to continue to do that.
So 2 last questions. First, what do you hope that your legacy is? You kind of already alluded to it, with
my mom was crazy.
Yeah, but I say
but she loved
crazy,
people.
But she loved people.
She was crazy.
Which I love that. But what do you hope ultimately, not only with Neighborhood Christian Centers, but what do you hope your personal legacy is? And I think you've got, you mentioned the popcorn store is an entrepreneur. Yeah. You are hosting TV shows now. Yeah. You're a singer. I mean, so you've got all these amazing threads that you're, out there weaving this beautiful tapestry in the community. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, and I love that kind of centered on helping people, inspiring people, lifting people, helping them, make themselves better. Yeah. What do you hope that legacy is?
I hope that legacy is that I left this world with people feeling like they can move forward, that they can live their best life, that they can, that it's not all about you. That they can encourage someone else and pass it forward, pay it forward. So that's what I hope that would be left, and that I made a difference. That I stuck to it. that I guess overall that I stuck to it, whatever it is, that I didn't give up, that I didn't quit even when I wanted to, that I did it in fear, and that I held on my faith in the valley, held on to faith in my valleys. And so I hope that people would see that, and so, because I tell people all the time, you cannot be or accomplish any of the things that I legitimately can say that I have without have done it, and done it for a period of time. So, and it's not that I did it by myself. There are other people that invested in me, that allowed me a pass, that forgave me. And so I would say, if you could walk in forgiveness, I hope people say she walked in forgiveness. She did her best to treat people right, and she left the world better than she came, than when she came into it. I pray that that's what happens.
So tell listeners where they can learn more about Neighborhood Christian Centers. Where can they reach out to connect with you? Yeah. How do they get involved with Neighborhood Christian Centers? So talk about just the connection points.
Connection point for NCC is ncclife.org. And we're also on Facebook. You can reach out to us at I think it's NCC Incorporated on Facebook. So we'd love for you to do that. We're in the summer right now, so folks can help us. We need your $5 or your $50 or your $1 million. Amen. If you want to reach out to me directly, honestly, you can call my cell phone, but text me. Don't call, so I know who you are and say that you heard me on Jeremy Parks. That number is 901-826-3376, and then I have a website page that's a little outdated right now because I've been a little busy. Ephie Johnson Live, so you can go to Ephie Johnson Live if you want to reach out to me and pull up my email through that, and I can respond for speaking engagements. I go around the country and speak and sing. You didn't hear me sing today, but I think there are a few references of my singing on my website. So help a sister out so she can, continue to, live and feed her children and help the people. Amen. That's what I need.
Well, Ephie, we love you. I greatly appreciate all you're doing here in the Mid-South. Greatly appreciate all you're doing, not just here in the Mid-South, but to inspire people all around the world with what you're doing. Thank you. Truly amazing. And we do love you. You are a change maker. Greatly appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you.
I love you, Jeremy. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you for listening to the ChangeMakers podcast, produced by City Current and powered by Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance. To learn more about our guests and to share your stories of others leading by example, visit us online at citycurrent.com. Connect with us online using @citycurrent or follow the conversation using the hashtag ChangeMakers. Now, think big, start small, and act now. Be a change maker.